Hello, dear ones. I think a great deal about first things first. I think about original causes. Why do I care about what I care about? Why do you care about what you care about? I've been thinking lately about my life before I consciously knew of the importance of spiritual practice, of the importance of engaging with other people in intimate ways, of the importance of finding ways to bless the world. And I say, where did this come from? Well, of course, in any of us, earliest childhood experiences are formative. What was the bonding like with our parents? Do we feel loved in the world? Are we, as Raymond Carver said, aware that we are beloved on this earth? When I think about first causes in my own life, I always return to Woolman Hall at First Unitarian Church in Chicago, named for the great Quaker abolitionist John Woolman. The hall was home to to what was to become the Chicago Children's Choir, which was that little church choir started at the Unitarian Church in 1956 by the Reverend Christopher Moore, a choir that sang in many languages, that was intentionally integrated across lines of race and class, and that had a political agenda, if you will, to project both hope and harmony into the world. So I was steeped in that ethic. But before I knew anything about ethics and about the politics of the situation or the hopes of that vision, I was aware of a couple of things. I was aware that I was learning how to listen carefully to the other singers around me, to the sound that the choir made when we balanced our own individual voices with the voices of others and achieved that marvelous blend that's possible when people listen well and are also able to bring themselves fully into the task at hand. So I had a visceral sense early on of that set of what has now become a set of expectations in the life of Unity Church around personal practice and intimacy and blessing the world. All of that I can trace back to that childhood choir experience. Our daughter Jessie, is an educator. She's very wise and she's very effective. She does a lot of work both in values formation for high school students and in anti-racism work. And she has been advising Jan and me as we've been working on what's called the Berry Street Essay, which is going to be offered in June and is intended to speak to the shift from single-point leadership to collaborative leadership, from ministers sponsored to work in the world by their congregations to ministry that is consciously being lived out by the congregation. So we're writing a paper about this, and Jessie asked, do you have any sense of a pre-conscious knowing that your life and ministry were going to be devoted to this concept of the empowerment of the laity in taking hold of the ministry themselves and carrying it out into the world? And I thought about it, and I think that pre-conscious knowing was the first time I realized that I was listening in a different way, that I was bringing my voice into a chorus of voices, and that the chorus was more important than my voice, that the sound we made together was more significant than my need to be heard. At Oakland, where we served for many years before coming here 20 plus years ago, in year 3, my first intern, and it was before Jan joined me in the parish, and my first intern, a woman named Lindy Ramsden, served as summer minister over the course of a couple of months while Jan and I were gone with our children and just taking time for rest and renewal. And when we left, there were about 30 people in the sanctuary on Sunday mornings on a regular basis. When we returned in the fall, the numbers had doubled, and they were singing a cappella in parts. They were paying attention to the blend. They were listening in new ways. They were bringing their voices to bear in ways that felt like ministry to me. And I had that, again, relatively pre-conscious sense that there was something that was consonant, that was aligned, that was happening in that congregation in that moment that was going to make a big difference. The same experience happened here at Unity when the congregation began to sing a cappella. It was it was 5 years in, maybe, to our ministry, when we first suggested it to Ruth, our music director then. And Ruth was, shall we say, careful. She wasn't actually reticent. She understood what we hoped for, but instead of just jumping at it, she began to quietly drop out and surprise the congregation by taking the accompaniment out of the context of their singing and just having them find themselves singing. Find themselves singing. Throughout my career, throughout our work together, the capacity to join our voices in song has been absolutely central and has been a source of harmony and hope and evidence of our growing commitment to shared ministry. When we ask people what they miss most in these COVID days, most people will say, I miss singing. I miss the glad sound of voices joined, of that blend, of the reminder of how to listen and how to bring one's own voice to bear. And I miss it too. There is a thread that runs throughout our ministry that can be described as learning to sing together. Friends, we have learned to sing together, and we will sing again soon. Bless you.